I don't even know what to say. I'm nervous. Don't put that in there.
I'm leaving it. But how can we tell you're from Wisconsin? What's the giveaway?
It's my accent. I'm from Wisconsin.
Okay, welcome to the 98% podcast, where we hear real stories from real people. And I'm here with Megan. So, Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Megan. I am currently living in Texas, but I'm originally, as you can probably tell, I am from Wisconsin. So, currently I am currently one of managers at Nike,
Mhm.
and I've been with Nike for 12 years, and that's actually kind of where you and I kind of got connected right through there. And this is actually my third state that I've lived in. So I've lived in Wisconsin, and then I worked in Illinois, and I also worked and lived in Indiana, and now I'm in Texas. So I've been in Texas for about just over a year, which is crazy because I feel like it's gone super fast. And I have two dogs. I have a Shepherd and I have a Doberman, Lambo, Packers fan, and then Hudson's my other dog. Is that good?
Nice.
Was that good? I don't
That
know.
was good. That was
Okay,
good. Okay.
perfect.
So, and you just raced. You had a race this past weekend, right?
I did have a race. Yeah, I did not train for it whatsoever. So my sister ran the full marathon. So it's my sister's 10th marathon that she's ran. So for Austin, I ran the half marathon and my mom ran the 5K. So they actually came in from Wisconsin. So it was nice to be able to see them, to be able to, visit. And it's not very often where they are able to actually come down. They usually, come down with my dad or my other sister. So we got to kind of have a nice girls' weekend, but also too, I'm still very sore. I'm recovering, heavily recovering still.
Yeah, I'd say so if you didn't train for it.
No, I was like halfway through, and I was like, I should have trained. And I was already committed, so I was like, I cannot not train. I cannot be a part of something like this. It was actually a gift from my sister, so
Yeah.
we ended up I kept the pace, and mile 7, my hip was hurting, and I was like, I still have a long ways to go. I'm just over halfway there. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Dang, but you finished it. You finished 13 miles, right?
Yeah, I did 13.1, and then it was actually
Yeah.
about 15 altogether because parking, right? And if you don't know, like
Mhm.
Austin is one of like the running community. So there's so many different running places, and it's just probably like I think the fastest time, it might have been, don't quote me, but it was like 2:36 for a marathon ish. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that Nike or Austin's a huge like running community. So being able to kind of be a part of that was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So then what were you listening to as you were running? Because I know you had your headphones on, right?
Mile 10, my headphones died. So my
That's gonna
hip
be the
was
worst.
hurting, my knee was hurting, and it was like mile 10. But yes, I was listening until mile 10. I was kind of listening to kind of everything like running mix. Again, I didn't train for it. So the night of, I was like, man, I don't even have like a running playlist. Like, let me just look some stuff up. So I'm literally in the corral, like, Nike running music or half marathon music. And, it was just a lot of like oldies and, things that to get me through. But yeah, I was really focused on my breath. I think that's something that like I'm the most proud of in that moment. And also too, like I was not running very fast. I'm 5'2", and so my stride is not very long. And I'm not a fast runner, but like what I told my mom and what I told my sister was it's like I wasn't worried about anybody's like pace against mine because they're not running my race, right? So like
Mhm.
thinking about also like looking at life, like nobody's running your race. And I think in society we think that everything has to be, what social media says it is, but
Mhm.
also like nobody's running my pace because nobody's running my race in life. So that was something that like I was going super slow, but I was like, that was the first race because I've ran a couple half marathons before. I was so focused on like the timing, but like I was like, I'm just lucky to finish. That's my PR. That is my PR for this.
See, that's important. Okay, so what were you running in? What shoes?
I was running my Vomero Plus. So my peak
Okay.
Vomero Plus, that was the most that I've ran in,
Mm-hmm.
and especially I usually run in Vomeros, but I was deciding to run in my Vomero Plus. And those ones until like mile 7, I don't know if I just obviously didn't train, or there were a lot of things that could have correlated and a lot of things that could have all been going wrong.
Okay. So, okay, so then let's go back to this. So, because you mentioned it briefly. So we met. So basically, social media. Because I remember somehow I was adding people, and I remember seeing that you work for Nike,
Mhm.
and obviously for people out there, I think I've said this on the podcast, I'm sure. So I worked for Nike for 16 years, um, but was there, and then I remember you posting like some motivational stuff or something. I just remember you posting and being like 100% or something like that, and then we just started conversing back and forth, and we realized like, oh, we worked at Nike, and then it was like, oh, I was in Chicago, and it's like, well, I helped with Chicago a few times, and it's like
Mhm.
it's funny because we might have crossed paths, but we might not have. But I don't know. It's kind of funny. And then I think I talked your ear off when you were like, you asked me about something product related. And I was like, oh, well, let me tell you about products. And I went way deep into it.
Yeah, and I think also too, because you and I we've had a chance to connect, and even just from like a personal lens of like transitioning, right? Like with you not working for Nike anymore, like you
Mhm,
having other roles, like being able to bring it back and giving me a lot of perspective. Like I remember we were just connecting, I think it was like even like last year around this time of like what that looked like for, when we talk about in leadership or we talk about
mhm,
like heavy transitions in life or progressing or like goals. I know that's something that like you and I
mhm.
discussed about like how to set and create good habits. So I think too, like it was just interesting something from social media, like it builds something a lot more. And it was just based on where you and I both worked for a brand that was, for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how that happens? It's like one message, one small action can create like a whole effect of like just all these other events. Cause yeah, to that point, we've had some really great conversations about that stuff, about yeah, leadership and all that. And it's just funny to think like, oh, if just one day I didn't happen to be on and see that motivational quote you posted or whatever and been like 100%, like we wouldn't even be talking.
Yeah, no,
So weird.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's so weird. Cool beans. Okay, so then before we get into the questions, so where are you now? So if we're like, so I mean, not like where you are specifically, but like because yeah, it was probably a year ago or so we started chatting. So like from there to now, so what has changed? Like bring me up to speed on what's evolved since then.
Yeah. So, well, I'm currently still in right in between Austin and San Antonio. So, like that sweet spot. So, currently still at my current role. So, being an assistant store manager for Nike at one of the locations. I've actually had the opportunity to be like a track stretch or like a critical experience role for the head coach role. So, that's currently what I'm doing right now in that space. And, a lot has changed. I have a new dog, right?
Uh-huh.
Mr. Lambo. So a life-changing event. Definitely if you ever think that you need it's like relating to like you think you want like another kid and then you're like, "Oh no, this is not this is too much," right? Because then you have to go through the puppy phases, my dog's already trained and this one, wants to tear everything up and he's touching me, he's like pawing me and he's 80 pounds already and he's not even a year. So that's changed, but just continuing to, better myself and, my nutrition and bettering like my mental and, going back to like life coaching slash therapy, all of those things that have really changed drastically since we last connected.
Mm, that's crazy. So then how does Hudson feel about this new dog?
He is not a fan. He's not a fan, no. Hudson
I
is
knew it.
like, if he could just have me, like, just me and him, he would love it. Like, that would be something that would be amazing for him. But also he gets small moments where he, like, licks him and he's like, "Okay, like, we're homies." But, like, now it's like, right now they're outside, so they're fine, but, like, Lambo usually is a little bit more wild than Hudson is.
Yeah, which makes sense. He's still basically a puppy,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
a big
yeah.
one.
Yeah, I have to remind myself that because he's 80 pounds, but you know, when I'm disciplining him or I'm correcting him, I have to remember that I'm disciplining a baby still, right? And he's just a little baby.
Yeah, it's like you're disciplined like a 12-year-old.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like
Yeah.
you're my height now. You're 5'2", but yeah, you can't be acting that way because you still have a mind of a little yeah, a
Yeah.
little kid. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
absolutely. Yeah. But it's been a good transition. So I've had him for about maybe like 7 months, 7, 8 months, 7 months. Yeah, I probably had him for about 7 months right now.
nice. Awesome. Okay, thank you for bringing me up to speed. I
For sure.
appreciate that.
Anytime.
Okay. So, for those of you listening to the podcast, this is your first one that you're tuning into. What I do is I bring the guest on and I give them questions ahead of time. And then we just go through and we just answer the questions as we go. And the goal is just for you, hopefully, to connect with, the guests that we have on today and hopefully realize that there's more beneath the surface, right? The 98% is what we're going to dig into today. So, let's start at the beginning, Megan. So, what was growing up like for you?
Hmm. I would say growing up was so much fun with my family. I'm the
Huh?
youngest out of three girls. So my one sister is 35. My closest sister in age is 30. And then there's me. And I just remember just always being on the move. And like, I was like so adventurous. Like, I remember my dad would strictly be my partner for like the buddy system. And there were a few times that I got lost, not totally, but, you know, just wandering around. Yeah, growing up was fun. I played sports. I also, you know, grew up in like a smaller-ish town in Wisconsin, so just right over the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. So, spent a lot of time in Illinois too, just based on kind of, you know, going to daycare where my mom worked. And then also too, like I remember traveling a lot. Like my family had a house on the East Coast. We went to Boston a lot and, you know, that was something that meant a lot to me to be able to now look back and see of where it was. I was able to play 5 instruments growing up. So I was a band geek. So I
Okay.
played the piano, the saxophone, so the alto saxophone, the baritone saxophone, and then I was also able to play the clarinet and bass clarinet. So definitely some decent amount of, I would say, band classes, right? I was in jazz band, I was in marching band. Band camp was a thing for me. So, um, but yeah, so other than that, you know, I just kind of lived like a free spirited life growing up. And then also too, like I was just always like careless. Like I was excited to do new things, adventurous. And then also too, like everybody like kind of wanted to be my friend. So like I would just like always hang out with people at like the the playground or whatever that would be. And you know, that would be something I always remember my childhood being like just so much fun.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you were raised really well, which is good. Now, question though, were you the spoiled young, like the youngest? Were you spoiled a lot because you're the baby?
Yes, I definitely was the spoiled sibling. Um, I think it's just since I was the youngest, but also too, like it was just, you know, I got the chance to really bond with my mom and my dad, especially, you know, when COVID hit and, you know, I wasn't working just because we were all in quarantine. Like me and my mom and my dad, we really bonded. And at that time I was the only one in the household. So I would definitely say might be spoiled a little bit, but, I feel like I deserve to be spoiled, right?
I guess. So I didn't know you played instruments. So could you still play an instrument today if you were to go pick it up?
Oh, I could probably maybe play the piano, I would say. I can,
That's
like,
fun.
still yeah, maybe not the clarinet or bass clarinet, but I think I probably could play the piano.
Do you ever want to get back into it?
Um, no, not really.
Okay.
I think it could be for a couple reasons. So like so me and my sister we were a grade apart. So I stayed in band class because me and my sister we played in the same band class in high school and even like jazz band. So and I also really enjoyed my music teacher at the time, Mr. Wheely. He was like that was like my favorite thing. I did band twice a day just because I just loved like spending time like with my sister, but then also too like learning and my my music teacher was awesome, just an amazing person, amazing mentor. And he shared like no matter what you're doing in life, like it would be generated towards music, but always like wear your heart on your sleeve and just really life lessons. And he was just a very impactful person growing up in my life.
Awesome. I love that. Funny how people can play a role like that and kind of, I guess, influence the trajectory on stuff that you get into, like music. Like you're not really into it now, but you were then, and it was a lot for that, which is so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So next question. What is the biggest struggle that you've made it through?
Um, That's a really great question. I would probably say that the transition between my last current role and the one prior to that. So, um, I worked in the Chicago district for Nike, and one of my stores ended up closing. And I was a coach for 6 months. No, I'm sorry, I was a coach for 3 months. And I recently got a promotion there, and I found out that my location was closing. And that was something that was pretty impactful for me because also too it was something that I was also going through like a lot of things personally. I was going through, like a breakup. I was going through all of those things. And just to put a cherry on top is, having to relocate stores. So I would say the hardest part was moving away from my family, even though it was 2 hours away. It was something that was, uh, definitely something that was scary, and, I went with my dog. I was in a one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment in Indiana, and I don't know if you've ever been to Indiana, but, it's I like to call it the armpit of the Midwest. There's a lot of things, but it was just also too, like, it wasn't something that, like, I understood, but I knew, like, taking the risk and eventually knowing that, I'm here now in Texas, so if I wouldn't have gone through those hard times, those hard 2 years, like, I might not be in this space of where I am professionally, personally, whatever it might be, like, that was probably the hardest 2 years of my life.
Mm. So yeah, and that's a good point. Is that's why I like this question a lot because people we share the struggles, but then it's like, but who did you become after you made it through? And
Mhm,
it's really kind of a beautiful thing because to that point is like you may not be doing what you're doing now because without that struggle, it may not have prepared you or even built you to be strong enough to do what you're doing now,
mhm.
which I think is pretty wild.
Yeah, and also too, like, perspective is everything, right? Like,
Mhm.
those are things like I've met a lot of great people, like, even just, transitioning from Illinois to Indiana and Indiana to Texas, like, I've just met some really great friends here and also too, like, really great friends back at home, and I might not have those, so as you're going through it, right, you don't feel it, but also too, like, knowing that you'll get out on the other side. So that's usually how I try to base everything that I'm going through of like, I started over. That's how started over in Indiana and I can start over in Texas or I can always start over. It's never not an option for me.
That's true. I like that. It's a good perspective. Okay, so now next question. So what are you currently going through that's positive or negative?
Oh, I would say positive more in kind of like I don't want to say the self like I don't it's not even like self-development. Don't put this in here. I don't know. I'm trying to keep up the word. Don't put this in. Take this out of the bloopers. I would probably say from like a like and a self-love aspect, right? Like growing up with social media, like growing up, like being okay with what social media tells you that isn't perfect or isn't, the right way to do things. I think too, like embracing who I am, embracing my flaws, like embracing things that like I admit that, maybe I'm not the perfect person at something, but also too like I can master that or I can kind of go through that. So I would definitely say like self-discovery is something that I'm working on. And I would say negative. I don't really think like I have anything. I would like to say like I'm pretty positive. Like I've been through negative moments or I felt negative moments, but like overall, I would say that it's more positive, at least right now. Right now.
Okay. Yeah. So you hit a good point there that I really liked is you talked about like acceptance, right? Accepting where you are. And I think that's a crucial thing is I think sometimes we think like, do we accept where we are or do we need to improve? And I think both of those, I think you have to do both. I think if you think about the acceptance piece, like what does it mean if you like, yeah, I accept my flaws and then you don't do anything about it? It's like, so you're accepting that you're not to say I'll be super dramatic, a terrible person, and you're
Hmm.
okay with that, right? But it's like being able to accept it so then you can actually, actually improve or move on because some people also don't ever accept anything. And then how can you be self aware? How can you grow if you don't actually accept where you are in the first place? So I love that you talked about that as the acceptance piece. And then, like, okay,
Hmm.
but then after I accepted it, then it's something I grew into or that I wanted to improve or grow. And I think that's a really cool perspective that I think more people need to think about.
Yeah, I think also like the first thing to get through, like how to improve is to just reflect, right? And I think too, like it's hard to reflect. It's hard for
Hmm.
myself. And there was a time where I was like, no, it's not me, it's you, or it's not, it was never me.
Yeah.
But also like it took a while and it took those hard times of like if somebody was giving me feedback, either if it was a boss or if it was a friend or if it was somebody that I loved, like instead of taking it as like this person is personally attacking me, like how can I sort through the meat and potatoes of what like we call it of what are they actually saying and how can I implement this to better myself, right? And
Hmm.
again, like it's never going to be perfect, but also too like to your point if you accept who you are, you're maybe eliminating the chance of being able to be who you actually could become.
Mm, that's a dangerous person. Have you
Yeah.
accepted who are you going to become? Who could you become? Thinking
I
about that.
am
That's fascinating.
yeah, that's are you asking me?
Now I'm asking you.
What
Yes.
can I become? I definitely could probably become well, if that was that, I'd be Superwoman, let's be honest. If I was able
Wait,
to
say
do
that.
that,
Hold on, say that again. What?
I would be Superwoman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'd be Superwoman for sure if I was able to do that. But I think too, like as humans, like we're always growing. We're always trying to learn. And like I don't think being satisfied again, it's realistic, right? But being satisfied on who we actually could become and not mitigating it to be something that maybe is smaller in what we're settling on. So like to be honest and like full transparency, I don't know who I would become, right? And I'm still
Mhm.
learning that. I'm still learning who Megan is as I continue to grow. I continue to grow personally, professionally, whatever it might be, but in the same space of like I can't fully give you an answer on who that actually is because I don't know who that is yet.
Okay, that's good. Who has changed your life that doesn't know it?
I have a lot of people have changed my life. I would definitely say like I'd say my mom and my dad. They're and I've never actually told them, but I would hope that they know of it. Is that they always did things out of love for me, right? Like as growing up, like I know that I'm the favorite, but I was disciplined, right? As all people should be. But I think too, like being able to just work really hard and, setting a great example of, how my mom has worked her way up and how my dad has worked his way up and, coming from not the best upbringing, but being able to persevere and, my mom specifically, like just is a great role model of like what being strong looks like, right? Not only personally, but professionally and, just being able to take bits and pieces and like put it together and make it my own.
I like that. So then would your siblings say the same thing? Would they say you're the favorite?
Oh yeah, hands down. Zoom
Okay,
them
so
in. Zoom them in. They're gonna be right here.
they're
Oh
okay.
yeah, hands down. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, okay. Well, I think that okay, so then hopefully your parents watch this so they get to hear you say
Yeah.
that.
I
'Cause
would
that's a
cry.
big deal.
She'd cry.
Aw. That's sweet. See, and see, I picked this question because I used to be so bad about that. I don't know if you're bad about that, but I was always bad about telling people who impacted my life, like actually telling them. And I think some of it was because I also didn't really think about it. Like I was very kind of in my lane, focused on my stuff, and I didn't necessarily think about the people that actually impacted me positively. And then as I get older, I start to reflect on that, and I think, man, like so and so helped me a bunch. I've never said a word. And it's like I want to right that wrong now. So it's like when I think about that, I think that like, especially these days, like if someone helps me out with anything or whatever, like I'm the first person now to just say like, thank you. I really appreciate that. Like you have no idea, you just try to do that because like for so long I didn't do it. And the thing about it is I always say this is like you are going to impact people on a daily basis, but you're not going to know 96% of the people you actually impact because you're never going to know. They're never going to tell you because you might never even see them again, or they may not think about it. So I always think about that when I'm like, well, I want to be the person that actually shows them or tells them, like, hey, thank you, because it feels good. And I'm sure it feels good. Like it'd feel good to you for someone to say, like, hey, Megan, I know this was like 2 years ago, but when you did that thing, like, I just want to express to you, like, how that impacted my life. Like, that's gotta feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also things that like you wouldn't even think like you were just doing it because you're you, right? Like you're doing it
Uh-huh.
because that's either what you would want somebody to do to you or that's just how you show up for, your your friends, like your partner, whoever it might be, like you're showing up in that space. But like once you actually get that and you're like, well, that's just who I am, right? Like that's just
Uh-huh.
what I do. It makes you feel so good, but also too, it makes you like now lead of, okay, well, if somebody was kind enough to share what I did for them, how can I be intentional moving forward on circling back around and giving that same space to somebody else.
Agreed, agreed, and, like, in every day and everything we do, we're always impacting people either positive or negatively, like,
Mhm.
everywhere we go. And it's so interesting to think about, like, because it's all based on action. It's not what we say, it's what we do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's this quote, I can't even remember who said it, but it's people will forget what you did, people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Right? So, like, in that moment,
Mhm.
moving with intention, not just living in the moment, but the impact of more than myself, but the impact of somebody else's life, positive or, like you said, like, negative.
Absolutely. I've heard that quote. I love that quote. So
Yeah.
thanks for bringing that up on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what's a skill or talent you could share with us?
Mm, well, I just not recently, but I actually really enjoy painting. Painting has been and it's just like free painting. So that would be also something to maybe not I mean, it'd probably just be like a hobby. That's something, wandering. So from like a mind thing, giving myself something to focus on. But I think too, like that was something I was very stressed recently. And just being able to kind of focus on one or two things. I painted like the sunsets, which I think you and we've chatted about because we were talking about
Uh-huh.
painting. But
Uh-huh.
even if it's painting or even if it's something, if it's like a sunflower or whatever it might be, like being able to actually focus on that. So I would say that's more like a hobby, I guess you can say, because I'm not good like at painting. Kind of just let everything kind of go. But that would be kind of one of my hobbies that I have.
Yeah, well, and just because it's a hobby doesn't mean it's, like, not important. Like, that's the
Right.
thing too is, like, in art, especially, art is so fascinating because it's, like, one of the few things like, art is art. Like, it's
Mhm.
really subjective. So, like, don't get me wrong, like, there's certain things where people say, like, "That's good technique," or "That's bad technique," but at the end of the day, it's like, you make whatever you wanna make. That's the cool thing about art, and it doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
really doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter if it's right, like the artist or whoever it might be. It's like it's important because it means something to the artist, not maybe who's
Mhm.
viewing it.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so you need to send me some pictures of, your paintings because we should put that in the slideshow for
Yeah,
this.
it's gonna be like one or two. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I can try. I'll try to undust it upstairs.
Okay,
Yeah.
deal, deal, okay. So now what are you learning about currently that you could teach us?
Hmm. I'm learning about the lymphatic system more.
Okay.
that
Why?
the So I recently, well, not recently, but probably within the last like 2 to 3 years, I was feeling a lot of inflammation throughout my body. And it didn't happen until I didn't notice it until I got a lymphatic drainage. So I'm not sure what a lymphatic drainage is. It's usually for when people have like post surgery or, people that are maybe have like I don't know if it's like lymphoma or they have a lot of kind of buildup, right, of fluids. So it's really just to bring your lymph nodes. So just learning about all of that through like Chinese medicine, but then also to like understanding the lymph nodes in my body. So usually any human can have like 400 to 700 nodes throughout their body. So your main ones is like right here, your armpits, and then it's still like throughout your body as well. So just learning how that actually all plays a part in the overall inflammation, but also like the circulation within your body. And I only knew that because I felt the change of when I started doing lymphatic drainages, or I don't know if you know, like the vibration plates or any of that. Yeah. To be able to actually get kind of all of those fluids moving. And it wasn't until I actually like learned about it more, I became really fascinated on like your body's always trying to improve or also to like always recover. So like if something's blocked, so if like your armpits are blocked, like your face can't drain and so on and so forth to get the toxins out of your body. So that's
Okay.
kind of fascinating to me on how like your body's always trying to recover. So that would probably be the one thing that I'm continuing to learn about. So I've known about it for maybe a year and a half to 2 years, but it's just really fascinating. And then I even tell my mom when she's over of doing the lymphatic drainage. Everybody knows when Megan goes on vacation, she does her lymphatic drainage and just all of those things and educating people, right? Like educating my family, educating my friends on what that is.
Okay. So how do they do that?
Well, you can do it different ways, but so you'll start like right here
Okay.
and you can be laying down and it's really something that's soft, so it's not meant to be, like, hard, but you're really just getting your lymph nodes stimulated to fully drain. So you can be laying down. Usually it's laying down probably with, like, oil or lotion, whatever it
Uh-huh.
might be, and then they can either, like, work on your face or they'll, like, drain your whole body. So it's just, like, circular
Mm,
motions and also, like, slight pumping. So, like, pumping, like, your collarbone, your clavicle, I think that's your clavicle, and then also to like to continue to drain it. And then usually this is a lot of people usually tend to like having to use the restroom just because it's something that it's like pushing the fluids through.
mm. Okay. So then I want to be completely like kindergarten here. So because
Okay.
I want you to explain it. So okay. So what is the lymphatic system like? What is the purpose? Why do you want it to be drained?
Yeah. So, and again, I'm still learning about it too, but
Uh-huh.
also, so like you can have 400 to 700 lymph nodes or nodes throughout your entire body. And it doesn't matter, race, doesn't matter gender, whatever it might be. Everybody's different, have the nodes. So it's something that helps circulate the toxins throughout your body. So, say, for example, if you're stagnant, right? If you don't have like a lot of circulation or a lot of being stagnant when it comes from like drainage, it could get clogged, if that makes sense. So, like, there's people that have, like, it's either, for example, it's people that are post-op, right? They want to make sure the fluids get fully drained from either, like, the
Uh-huh.
post-operation or like, pregnancy, whatever it might be. So, the point of it is to continue, like, the circulation, but also, like, getting the toxins out of your body through, like, your lymph nodes, which you pee out.
Got it. Okay. Sweet. I'm glad you added that last part.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You pee it
Okay.
out.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
why
then so
that's oh, sorry. That's why a lot of people, like, they drink water, like, right before. Not, like, a lot of water, but it helps, like, push out and I've actually done, like, a lymphatic drainage on my sister when um we were up in Wisconsin, like, Upper Wisconsin, and that was the same thing. She was like, "I have to use the restroom." And it's just something where, like, she felt it, like, so quickly, and I did probably maybe, like, 10 to 15 minutes on her, and she was able to feel it.
Okay. So then is this like a maintenance thing or is this something like that like I could have a tilt like a sign that I'm like, you know what? I need to drain this. Like is that something I would know or is it just maintenance?
So I typically like doing it. It's whenever I feel like kind of puffy, so like a little bit more inflamed. I'm just a
Uh-huh.
little bit more in tune to my body of
Okay.
like, okay, like I know what it's like to feel puffy or inflamed, and you feel like you're retaining a lot of water. So I'll do like a face one like every probably I mean, I could do it almost every morning or I would just do a massage to like drain it.
Okay.
You can do also a professional one, which I kind of like a little bit better. But you can do that and I've done it like twice a month. I became addicted to it. My mom was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I just feel so good
Uh,
after it. It was just I feel like lighter, I feel like less again, puffy or
uh-huh.
inflamed and I just
Okay.
feel like I don't know. I It was kind of addicting for a month and a half. I was going like every 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So then where is it on my face? Like, can I do it right now?
Yeah, so there's like some right
Yeah.
here, you can do
Okay.
right
I remember that.
here, you can do
Okay. So
right
what do I do?
here. So
What do I
you're
do?
just like very gently.
Okay. And I just do
You're just
circles.
you can just like pump. So just like little
Oh, pump.
tapping. Yeah.
Oh.
But
Have you done
so
tapping before?
I've done tapping. Yeah, usually that's
Okay.
when I'm about to crash out. So I usually like
Okay.
but if I notice like myself, I'm trying to bring myself back to like grounding, if that makes sense. That's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that I learned. I learned a lot about being able to ground myself this past year on like breath work and breathing and controlling it and all of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so usually I'll start like right here in my armpits because if this is clogged, this can't get drained. So that's why it's like
Uh,
important to like start like just think about like you're like giving yourself like a little yeah, just like that. Just like that.
okay.
And then it'll just continue to drain. And then
Okay.
there's times where I'll take like a gua sha or I'll have like a little weird suction cup that like helps drain my face.
It's funny because my daughter learned she does tapping because her mom does tapping. So like there are times where she'd come home and she'd just be like, "Hey dad, do you want to tap with me real quick before bed?" And I'm just like, yeah."
Yeah, I
so
guess.
so
Sure.
we're just like tapping around and doing the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's funny.
Yeah, I usually do this a little bit more. I'll find myself like I'm trying to bring myself back to like my grounding and like kind of like my energy and like what I bring. And I forgot to mention this, but now as thinking like as I continue to grow and like my leadership role, but then also to like my energy for my relationships, my friendships, like there's a lot of like energy is everything. So like what I bring and like how more in tune I am with myself on how I continue to either bring the energy to again my leadership team or my friendships like that's something that I've just been super intentional about and grounding tapping has been something that's like bringing me back to myself.
I like that. Yeah, I need to do it more. I don't do it very often.
Yeah, if you
So
see me in the corner just know I'm okay.
okay. Okay. So the next question. So what are you doing for fun?
um What am I doing for fun? That's a great question. I don't really have a lot of time for fun.
That's the wrong
I
answer.
I know,
I'm
that's
just
so
kidding.
bad, I know. No, it is. I would definitely say, like, I've done a lot of new things that I guess I haven't done in a while, but, and it's not really for, like, fun per se. It might just be, like, me staying sane, I guess you could say. I've been really enjoying, like, walking, and that's fun to me, right? Like,
Okay.
I've been able to do that. I've been able to, like, take my dogs, or I've been just able to, get out in nature. It's, like it was, like, 75 degrees today, and it's, like, February, which is awesome here in Texas.
Uh-huh.
So, being able to get out and do that, that's been fun, and then also to, like, trying new things. Like, I did glass blowing, I think 2, 3 months ago. Like, I was able to make, like, a cute little glass or whatever it might be, like, just trying new things that I maybe not might have done, I think that would probably be, just trying new things. That's fun for me, right? Things that I've never done.
Yeah, I like that. See, and I think that's why I always have this question on there because a lot of us, especially busybodies, we don't make time for fun
Hmm.
and we really need to because if we don't, we're going to get burnt out. And we don't realize it because we're always like, no, I can handle, I can do all this stuff. And then it's like, wait, are you doing anything enjoyable? And it's like a lot of people are just like, no. And it's like, well, how are you feeling about life right now? Well, it's kind of difficult and tough. And okay, well, find something that's fun. And yeah, it's subjective. So it could just be walking or trying new things. But I just think it's always important for us to at least find something just to bring out some fun.
Yeah, and I would also say you do a nice job because we've even talked about this before, but I know like you take time out of your weekends, right, to do your competitions that you have
Mhm.
and all of those things. So I think too, like, and we've chatted about this, but if you don't show up for yourself in those spaces, like, of course, you're going to be burned out because you're just working all the time. And then the time that you do have, you're not dedicating it to yourself.
Exactly, exactly. And it's funny because we don't realize what we're missing out on. And I
Hmm.
think that happens a lot is because we get stuck in the routine of it to where we will say, and I know we're all guilty of this, like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And it's like, but you're really not. And you don't realize it. You know what I mean? And you don't realize it till you start doing something like that. Like I can tell you,
Yeah,
like the first competition I did, I just remember finishing it and being like, I feel so good right now. I like Oh my gosh, I was missing out on this. The same thing with getting back in the gym. Like I've been doing that consistently for 4.5 years, but like I took like 6 years off and was like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. Like everything is amazing. And then it's like,
yeah,
I go to the gym and I'm like, why have I not been working out? I feel so much better. It's like we get
right.
used to wherever we are that we like figure out a way to cope with it and we think we're
Hmm.
good. And it's like, yeah, you got to make those times. But sometimes we don't know.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot today. So this is one of my favorite questions.
Hmm.
So if you were to write a story about your life from when you were born to now, what would that story be called?
Oh gosh. Um, I think like something along the lines of like the unpredictable like life of Megan. I think there's just so many things that have happened in my life that I wouldn't have expected. And, being here, being in Texas or, you know, being away from my family or, things that I thought that would work out didn't. And it was just so unpredictable and it worked out for the better. But
Hmm.
also like it was just so unpredictable. Like I would have never have thought that I would be here.
Okay. I dig it. I think that's a great title for your book.
Mhm.
It seems so fitting.
Yeah. So many unexpected things.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so we have two things left here on the
Okay.
podcast. So this time, or this part of the podcast is for you to share whatever you want to share. So if it's a topic we haven't covered, or if it's you want to share your social, or if you're working on something and want to share that, like this is just like your 15 minutes of fame. If you want to take it, you don't have to, but you can.
Um, I would probably say like I guess I can share a little bit more about like kind of like my journey with like mental health and all of those things and also too like living a healthier lifestyle than I did. Like I I was pretty overweight growing up. Like I lost like I battled between eating disorders and gaining weight and losing it and all those things. And I think too, like really understanding the power of like what I can accomplish, but also too like the power that I'm able to actually have in regards to in control of my life. And that's spiritually, that's through, what I consume, that's through like emotionally, mentally. So I think too of like just sharing that you are so much like so capable of like taking ownership of your life if you just take the proper steps and you take the right step. So I think too like victim mentality is like kind of like not something that I'm like super focused on, right? Like how
Hmm.
can I conquer what I've gone through and like bring it back to where I am? But I would definitely say like investing in myself. And as you know, like my social media is pretty positive. I really only post about like my dogs and also too like just like super positive things and you are what you consume. So if you consume bad things, right? The outcome is that's how you're going to be. You're surrounded by negative people or, negative things. Like those are things that, you feed into, right? So I think too, just like understanding and sharing with you, like you're a positive person, right? Like you're a positive
Mhm.
person, like friend in my life, and being able to actually like get the chance to be on a podcast is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally,
Sweet.
right? Finally.
It's about time.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
About dang time.
Yeah. Okay, so I like that, and I think a lot of people, because health is really holistic, right? So when we think about it, it's like a lot of people think like, oh, health, like consume. We think eat, right? So yes, you can consume things. You consume bad things. It can be bad for you physically. Consume good things to be good for you positively. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's also consuming everything else. Like it's
Yeah.
consumption in general. Like it's like yeah, if we stay focused on negative things all the time or have negative people around us all the time, we kind of like we're going to pick up on those. Like
Mhm.
there's this saying that you are the sum of the five most important people in your life.
Yeah.
So the five people you spend the most time with, you're gonna naturally gravitate to or pull traits from them. So I think that's pretty important to like. So choose the people that are close to you. I mean, I think pretty wisely.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I just think that's a strong message that I think that I'm glad you brought up. By the way, um, because I think it's important. I think we really need to focus on that more. Because yeah, it's something we have total control of. And you did say something about victim mentality too, which I think is so spot on. Is I get it, and I have compassion for people that are victims because there are victims every day of certain things,
Mhm.
but it never helps any situation to stay there. And I think that's
Mhm.
the issue is like because when we play a victim role, we give all our power away, right? And if we can
Mhm.
take responsibility for whatever it was, because almost in most situations, it's there's still some slight factor that might have been our choosing, right?
Mhm.
I think about that from a relation standpoint. Like, yeah, you could say like this relationship failed because of them. And it's like, okay, well, a relationship is between two people. It may not be
Mhm.
50-50, but it may be 90-10, right? So
Yeah.
then what's the 10% that you can work on or that you contributed to this thing failing or contributing to this situation? Because maybe it's like, well, I actually probably shouldn't have been in that situation. That's probably a good way to look at it, right? So
Mhm.
there's certain ways you can take that. I think there's a lot of power in that when you can take responsibility. So kudos to you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I think also like you said it, like once you give somebody power, right? Like somebody cuts you off in traffic or somebody ticked me off at the dog park 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
3 weeks ago, like all of those things, like I gave them that power,
Yeah, you
but
did.
also too like and then I was like mad at myself because I was like, "Why did I just give you that power?" Right? And it's those things that like you don't understand until like you actually step back or you have somebody like actually say like, "Okay, like your energy is precious. You don't have to give them the power on what you like. You are the person that gives them the power, not them. They're just background noise. So, yeah, I liked how you brought that up. Yeah,
Sweet. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So is that it? Is that it as far as the stuff you want to share?
that is it.
That's it. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to share your socials at all? Do you want people to find you?
Yeah, you can find me.
Okay.
It's kind of, I mean, basic, but it's Fitness Meg 13. It was my fitness account, but then my other account, like, I got hacked. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just keep this. And I can't think of anything that's kind of more unique than Fitness Meg 13. I love fitness. I love food. I love positivity. I love my dogs. So you can definitely find me there.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, last part of the podcast, which I'm always stoked about. So this is the part of the podcast where the last guest created a question for you, not knowing it was for you, and
Hmm.
then you get to create a question for the next guest. So, are you ready for your question?
Yes.
Okay. At what age do you feel like you hit your sweet spot and everything aligned, and why?
Ooh. Hmm. Very interesting. That was a good question. Um, I would probably say like probably in between, and I'm only 28, not only 28. I feel old, but I am 28. I would probably say in between 27 and probably now. I think too, like
Mm,
I got the chance to explore a lot of independence, not only from where I currently am, like in Texas, but also to like being able to know that I'm solely relied on myself, being able to be okay with that and being independent, but then also to like I've created a life for myself. Even here, like I have two dogs, I have a house, I have so many great things and my life is so full from like an abundant lens of I'm just
mhm.
at that age and that space of like I'm living in that right now. Like I'm just so happy.
I love that. Okay, that's a good place to be. So,
Yeah.
I what I love about these questions is I feel like somehow the guest always gives the next guest the right question, and it always blows my mind. It's
Yeah.
so funny. But I do want to ask this though. I want to ask a follow up to it because she put me on the spot last time, and I was like, okay, whatever. Uh, but what is something? So you said sweet spot. So is there anything that you would change, or is there anything that's not working that you want to work?
Mm,
Like, are you missing anything in this sweet spot?
I'm not saying that I'm missing anything. I think I'm looking forward to like what's next on like what
Okay.
else can like come my way, right? When you
Mhm,
open, life is abundant. So if we grab onto things, right, the odds of that actually staying is very not unlikely, but like if you just let things happen. So like I'm not missing anything. I feel full, but like I
mhm.
think too, being able to just be open to an abundance of things that could happen in the future.
'Kay, so nothing specific. Nothing that you're just like, "If this kinda fell in my lap, that'd be pretty sick."
I mean, if I, like, got, like, $1,000,000, that would be great.
Okay, I
I mean,
guess if
I
that's
guess that's
there you
that's
go.
what it is, right? I guess that
I
would
mean,
be
I guess.
yeah, that would be it. That would
That'd be
definitely be it.
Okay,
Yeah.
deal. Well, let me know when that happens, okay?
Well, you'll be the first person. I'll give you
Hey,
a piece of the $1,000,000.
okay, I'm holding you to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so now what question do you wanna leave the next guest?
So, I asked this because, like, I think too we are like always our inner child, if you know what that means. Like
Mhm,
always, you know, everything's always revolted, even if it's something like the childhood plays a huge role in our lives and, you know, whatever it might be, if it was good, if it's bad, like I talked about that as positive, but also too, like it could be negative for some people. So like what advice would you give to your inner child or your past self?
'kay, so now what advice would you give your inner child?
Ooh. Um I would say give yourself more grace. I think people like, and I think me especially, like I'm just super hard on myself. On like either I, look a certain way or, do something, I didn't do something right or, whatever it might be. And I think too, like, and I've been told this advice so many times, like you give grace to people, but when is it time to give grace to yourself? And that was something where like sometimes it's hard to self reflect and like we talk about, yes, like being forgiving and all of those things, but like when is it time to forgive yourself and have grace with yourself.
Yeah, see, I think that's powerful. What I like to tell people too all the time is like, whenever something like that happens, because we get really self-critical, is how could you or I like to think about this. Okay, so if the same thing happened to your friend, how would you handle the situation, your best friend? And
Right.
it's like if you could start talking to yourself like you would your best friend, you'd find out you'd be a lot kinder to yourself. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I would hit my friend if she was talking to herself like that.
Oh, you'd hit your friend?
Yeah, smack her. What are you
Oh
doing?
man. Oh man. Okay. I like that. Okay, so now so that was it. That wasn't so bad, right?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, okay. So before we close out, so I like to do this too, and I know it's kind of putting you on the spot, but like what advice would you give the listeners to kind of close this out today?
Mm, I would say just like find out. I actually have the shirt on and it says find out who you are and do it on purpose by Dolly Parton. And I think too that that's important, right? Like being intentional on who you are and, understanding yourself and, self-exploring yourself and, giving yourself grace. So I think just being intentional with who you are and who you're becoming.
Hey, well, that's powerful. What a powerful closing message. Okay. Well, Megan, I'm so glad we're able to make this happen. I'm so glad you hopped on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. So, one thing we do as well is we do these hot seat episodes. So what I might do is I might tap you on the shoulder maybe in a few months and we can bring you back. How would that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
Okay, sweet. Okay. Well, on that note, thank you so much for hopping on and I'll catch you later. Okay.
Bye.